Welcome to Partially Perfect, a show with literally no direction. With your host, Rob D.
All right. So we started to talk about NFL. We are both huge Redskin fans.
Right. Yes.
And you've got season tickets.
I do.
Now, typically I'll go to the home opener and then one away game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going to happen this year. I mean, I'm hoping I can still do that, but it's not looking too good right now.
Yeah. I mean, and how many people are going to want to if we don't have a vaccine? I think that was the biggest question when this happened, when we were looking at it from, a minor league baseball side is can we have fans in the stadium? The state of Texas has said, has approved the ability to have half full stadiums.
Okay.
But even that, I mean, that is not being socially distanced. If you truly social distance, we did the math, not we, but the industry did the math.
Somebody
and
did that.
You're looking at a 17 to 20% full stadium. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Now the projections of when we could be as a society vaccinated are improving a little bit here. There's a vaccine from Oxford University in England that has the possibility of being distributed to the United States in the latter months of this year, in that September to December timetable.
Right.
So if you're starting to get vaccinations and we don't see a big rise, in the fall that is expected if we don't have anything like that, that's the key, I think. But it's really a toss-up.
I know. So we might as well talk about the new regime of the Redskins. I mean, are you happy with the new coach?
Yeah, I'm very happy. The funny thing is, I think in coaching, a lot of times you hire coaches for their scheme in football. You're hiring a guy because because of what they're going to implement as far as plays on the field.
Right.
And then there's other guys that are more culture coaches, about creating the temperament and, and the Redskins, that's what they need. And Ron Rivera is that. I mean, if you think about the Dan Snyder era, they haven't had success with anybody.
Ever.
Success. But their first coach was
great coaches too. We've had great coaches.
There's no doubt. But their first coach was Norv Turner, and he was definitely a former offensive coordinator. Yeah. He was a scheme coach.
Yes.
Their next coach was Schottenheimer, and Schottenheimer I think could have gotten it going.
Huge fan of him. Huge fan. Yeah.
And he was a culture, defensive, tough, rugged coach.
Yeah.
And then they had Spurrier. It was all about Spurrier and this magical passing offensive scheme.
Right.
And then they had Gibbs, and Gibbs is a king of being a culture coach in Washington.
Yeah.
Because he was able to win with three different. I mean, it's just legendary.
Yeah.
And of course, Gibbs had the most success
of
any, even though he had a sub 500 record overall.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the other guys, Zorn, Shanahan, Gruden. Zorn and Gruden were obviously guys that were coordinators before.
Yeah.
Of course, Gibbs was too. But then in Shanahan, you can argue culture or scheme, but obviously he brought a lot of new scheme techniques to Washington. It just seems to me we haven't had a defensive coach since Schottenheimer, and I'm really excited because the Redskins, another thing is that in sports, the worst thing to be is old and bad. And
which we are.
The Redskins have been bad for a long time, but in the 2000s and early part of the 2010s, the Redskins were old and bad. And right now, the Redskins might be one of the youngest teams in football.
Now,
if you look at who the Redskins actually paid money to last year as players, It's guys like Alex Smith and Trent Williams and Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis and Josh Norman. And none of those guys contributed almost anything to the team last year.
No. And I was such a Jordan Reed fan. He just fell off the planet. I mean, I know he had injury problems, but he was one of my favorite tight ends. I mean, he had so much potential.
Yeah.
I just don't know what happened to him.
Well, injuries. I mean, it's just been unbelievable. I mean, RG3 is the biggest example. If he stays healthy and plays like he did in 2012, even if it's for 3 or 4 years, the Redskins could have easily won. I mean, not easily, but the Redskins could have definitely been right there to win a Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely. What I like about Ron Rivera, he brings like a mentorship to the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if you remember his first speech as a head coach for the Redskins. He wants to like kind of groom our guys to be men, not just football players. Well, I don't know. We haven't had that maybe ever. You know what I mean? So.
Well, you look at a guy like Joe Gibbs, it reminds me of that. I know that a lot of the guys that were not religious would go to Bible study because they knew that Joe Gibbs was so religious and he loved that about players. So a lot of guys would just do that. I think there wasn't a better culture coach in NFL history than Joe Gibbs. And I think that Ron Rivera is going to be great. Now, the tough thing is how do you instill a culture when you can't be around your players? So year one is going to be tricky. And the other big question is, of course, Dwayne Haskins. I talked before earlier on this about why, that I love baseball. One of the reasons I love baseball compared to football is that, football is, I love my Redskins, but it's so much, it relies on one player.
It does.
And in baseball, it does too. In baseball, it's the pitcher, and in football, it's the quarterback. But in baseball, you can't throw every game. You've got 5 different starting pitchers, and those starting pitchers can't even pitch the whole game. Then you got relievers. So can you imagine if Tom Brady started 1 out of every 5 games for New England, and then in that one game he only played the first 2.5 quarters, and then you went to your quarterback bullpen?
There would be no dynasty.
Right. So Dwayne Haskins is thought to be, if you just gave a random NFL fan a list, maybe one of the 3 or 4 worst starting quarterbacks for a team this year in the NFL.
Yeah.
But why is that? Why? I still don't understand why everyone thinks in the NFL community that Haskins is going to be so bad.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I just don't agree with it at all. And I think that that's going to be the story of the season. It's going to be 3 things. Can the defense get a great pass rush and be better on 3rd down now that you've got Chase Young?
Yeah.
The Redskins were pretty good last year. I know it was like for 3 games when Geis was on the field.
Yeah.
So can Geis play like 12 games this year? And then if Haskins is the 15th best quarterback in the NFL this year, I mean, the Redskins could be a decent team. I really think it's very possible, and the long-term growth of Haskins as a player is really what the future of the Redskins is all about in the near term.
And there's still a possibility Alex Smith might play.
I mean, in theory, yes, but in all practicality,
I don't want anything to do with him.
I'd love to see? I don't think it's going to happen. I'd love to see the first game of the year, Alex Smith activated as like a 3rd quarterback, and the Redskins pull a big upset over the Eagles, and Alex Smith goes in for the last play, and he takes a knee to end that game up. That's my dream. So put that on paper right now. Let's make that happen.
At his age, and with that injury was a lot worse than we all thought. He's not going to be the same ever again.
You think about Theismann never played again after his injury in the mid-'80s.
Right.
and obviously the Redskins had some good quarterbacks after that.
Yep.
But never really a great quarterback. I mean, I don't know if Theismann was a great quarterback either, but he was a very good quarterback. And then and then you get RG3 having it in his rookie year, and then you get Alex Smith. I mean, all those injuries happen at home, and I don't think there's another NFL team that has had three quarterbacks ruined, because RG3 was ruined.
You got to remember, Colt McCoy broke his leg too.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like we have a black cloud, and I hate to say that out loud.
It's so true.
You know.
Right, because if you think about the most talented Redskins of the last 15 years, Trent Williams, this whole situation with they didn't diagnose a head. I mean, like, who does that ever happen to? And then, of course, Sean Taylor. We all know that was the most talented Redskin in the last 20 years.
He was
Sean Taylor. And then, Alex Smith, I didn't think, to be honest, was even that good. I know we were winning, but I didn't think he was.
Okay.
But, you lose your quarterback. RG3, I know Sean Taylor was a possible Hall of Fame player, but RG3 was the most important player in the last 20 years of the Redskins. And it's unbelievable. It's all, and Jordan Reed's another great example of another guy where you just sit there going, golly, he was so good, but he just didn't have much of a great span of his career due to injury.
And the games he played, he had the most yards after catch of any tight end. I mean, when he was playing. I'm going to have to put LeVar Arrington in that category, because you said the last 20 years the Redskins. I was a big LeVar Arrington fan.
I know he should have been better. I feel like, and I heard this on a local radio show this year, but LeVar was drafted in 99 or 2000, and he was on that 01 Schottenheimer team, and that was his best year in the NFL. And then they bring in Spurrier, and things went downhill quickly for him.
Yeah.
I really think if, the Schottenheimer year is a very interesting year. The Redskins had no quarterback. They had Tony Banks as their quarterback.
I so forgot about that.
Yeah, they started 0-5. They finished 8-3. I was at a game that year at the end of the year that if they would have won, it may have changed Redskins history. I know this is crazy, but they lost to the Bears on a fake field goal.
I remember.
In which Brian Urlacher caught it and ran it into the end zone. If they win that game, go 9-7 to go to the playoffs, I don't think Snyder gets rid of Spurrier. I mean, he wasn't having enough fun because Schottenheimer was running everything.
Right.
But if Schottenheimer stays, I mean, the Redskins probably would have gotten pretty good, and I think LeVar would have had a much better career.
Yeah. Adam, we have so many woulda, coulda, shouldas of the Redskins. You know what I mean? It's just.
I know.
I love them, but I hate them. So, wow, man, thanks for coming on. So we talked about, well, first of all, wait a minute, before I leave.
Yeah.
Next time I see you, I'm expecting to see that tattoo.
That's right. Yeah, you'll probably have to wait a while for that one.
Yeah. I appreciate you being on. We talked some baseball, basketball, a little bit of Redskins. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. Sorry for my technical difficulties.
No, don't worry about it.
But it was great to be with you.
Real quick, before you leave, you do the AA show still. Do you still do that?
I do, yeah. I don't know how long we're going to do it for, but we'll be doing it here for a little while. So
you doing that a couple times a week?
Two a week, yep.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure we look for that. And thanks again for being on.
No doubt. Thank you, Rob.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. See you soon.
Right, bye.